Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to return home after his successful three-nation tour, and these are pictures of the farewell ceremony. He's in South Korea at the moment. The Prime Minister went to China. From China, he went to Mongolia, and from there to South Korea. And there's $10 billion worth of investment that South Korea has promised in infrastructure projects in India. These are pictures of the Prime Minister's farewell in South Korea. And this is a part of India's Act East. It's no longer Look East, it's Act East policy, which is a major thrust area of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. His trip to China has been described as immensely successful. He had some free, frank and fearless discussions in China, got some commitments on investment. He went to Mongolia, where he talked about India and Mongolia coming together, the cultures of the two countries, the similarity in cultures of the two countries. He's pledged $1 billion, a loan credit line to Mongolia for development of projects there. It's in South Korea that he talked about Indian software and South Korean hardware coming together. Headlines today, Smita Sharma now joins me with more. And Smita, as he winds down from South Korea, the three-nation tour. But first, let's focus on South Korea. $10 billion worth of investment in India, especially in shipbuilding and infrastructure. That is something that the Prime Minister would be pretty happy about.
Well, maritime engineering, in fact, was the key focus as Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrapped up his three-nation tour in South Korea. He visited, in fact, before taking off from South Korea, he visited the Hyundai Heavy Industries headquarters, which is based in Ulsan. Prior to that, of course, he did arrive in Gimahe. Ulsan, which is considered, in fact, the center stage of Korea's industrialization. So in the Hyundai Heavy Industries site, in fact, he visited one of the largest shipyards in the world, and maritime engineering, in fact, is the area where he's expecting, in fact, some investments to flow in from Korea as well. So he takes off now heading back to India, where, of course, his government is completely geared up to be celebrating the first anniversary as the Modi government completes 1 year in office next week.
And these are pictures at the Gimahe airport in South Korea. Shipbuilding is one area and marine engineering where India and South Korea hope to come together on in the times to come. The Prime Minister also addressed the 6th Asian Leadership Conference in Seoul. He talked about better relations between the two countries. He talked about how South Korean hardware and Indian software needs to come together for the benefit of both the countries. But it's an infrastructure that we expect a key South Korean push in the times to come, Smita.
Well, absolutely. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in fact, highlighted the fact that Korea, as of now, in terms of the foreign direct investments that come into India, ranks only 14th in the list of the countries across the world. And that is something, in fact, that he was making a pitch for, that more and more Korean companies should really head towards India and perhaps eye the Indian market as well. And that's where, in fact, in that speech that you just mentioned, he referred to about the hardware and the software capabilities of the two countries, also about Korea's car making and India's, in fact, design abilities, their steel making skills and the resources of iron ore that are there in India. The shipbuilding capability in India's port-led development. So clearly, infrastructure, housing, India's, in fact, needs, India's demands, these are the areas that he focused on as he addressed, in fact, that Korea-India CEOs forum as well.
And a short while back, Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted, Hyundai Heavy Industries shipyard is very impressive. I've asked them to come to India and explore the vast opportunities. Of course, pictures also of Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacting with the Indian community, also talking about how smart city projects can be taken forward. He met the Indian community also at the Hyundai Heavy Industries shipyard premises. He's interacted with the Indian community very extensively, and the Prime Minister, Smita, also focused on how shipbuilding is top priority for Government of India. Shipbuilding is now top priority for us.
Well, clearly, Gaurav, interestingly, in fact, if you see Modi's trip so far, they have also covered a large expanse of the ocean areas of India's maritime ocean footprint as well. And, some experts, in fact, seem to suggest that perhaps Modi does have China at the back of his head, given the fact that he has been stressing on relationship with countries like Sri Lanka, or their visit to Mauritius and Seychelles, or of course, that sort of an axis with the US when it came to maritime conflicts in Japan. So, for a lot of different reasons, with India, of course, has the large maritime boundaries as well, and that is the area where, the infrastructure needs a lot of boost. And that is the area where Mr. Narendra Modi thinks, because he thinks that Modinomics, of course, that is Modi's economics, and Korea's, the President Park, in fact, of Korea seems to suggest that Modinomics and Korea's economic plan version 3.0, these two can really be combined and they can become central drivers in a way towards global economy. So these are images, of course, that you can also see when Mr. Modi was interacting with the Indian community, something again which has become a signature style, that interaction with the diaspora, where more or less he repeated the points that he had mentioned in earlier similar diaspora meetings as well, and also, of course, lifting that little kid and trying to play with it, a different image. But for Mr. Modi now, all of these investment pledges are on paper. He'll have to come home and do all the homework to ensure that these pledges get really translated into action on the ground as well.
Smita Sharma, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. Where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is being given a ceremonial farewell as he leaves South Korea en route to India. The Prime Minister has just completed a three-nation tour. This was the final leg of the Prime Minister's visit. These are fond farewells and a promise of a $10 billion investment into India. The Prime Minister thanking his hosts. He's leaving for India, and he's made a very important point. He said, the unity of Asia will shape the world in the times to come. That is Prime Minister Narendra Modi winding up his three-nation tour, the third leg of his three-nation tour, this time winding up from South Korea. The president of South Korea also said that Modinomics and South Korea can together lift global economy, and that's a big statement that comes from South Korea. India is a very, very attractive market. India is an attractive destination to invest. The Prime Minister, in the first year of his governance, is promising a stable regime. That's the security detail of the Prime Minister, and this is ceremonial. These are the police officials who've escorted the Prime Minister all through his trip, and this is symbolic. It's a ceremonial send-off, a picture with the dignitary that they have escorted. The Prime Minister, of course, obliging them. And this trip, whether it was to China, to Mongolia or to South Korea, a lot of it has had a lot to do with selfie diplomacy. And I want to bring in Smita Sharma for more on this. Smita, the Prime Minister has a personal touch that he attaches to his style of diplomacy, and selfie diplomacy, picture diplomacy, photography is a very important part of it.
Well, undoubtedly, Gaurav, that is clearly one of the signature styles of Narendra Modi, something, in fact, which was not seen by the previous, in fact, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Narendra Modi, in fact, before he heads out to any country, he always tweets, in fact, in the native language of that country, be it, of course, Japanese or be it Mandarin. He even, remember, joined, in fact, Sino Weibo, which is the microblogging site of China, for finding that youth connect in Dragonland before he headed out there. And in fact, he actually found a couple of people following him and commenting on his joining of Sino Weibo. So similarly, that photograph, in fact, with Li Keqiang, his Chinese counterpart, which he, in fact, clicked as a selfie that went viral over the web. So he does know that, in fact, social media today has a huge reach, and that social media really connects people across the globe. That is something he tends to use. In fact, he maximizes as far as the usage of social media is concerned. He always inevitably, he stops by when, of course, those salutes are being given to him, when he's either being welcomed or, of course, departing. He does stand by when people want a selfie or two with him.
Yes.
We were speaking, in fact, to some of the hotel managers in Beijing, in Shanghai. They also said that every time somebody requested him for a selfie, he would actually stop by and grant that.
Yes.
So he does understand, of course, the connect the social media platform gives in, and that's why you saw those pictures repeating itself in South Korea as well.
Smita Sharma, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. The Prime Minister is now on his way back home to India. His government prepares to celebrate 1 year of being in power.